In life, we can get from somebody when that person gives to us. Whether it is wealth, knowledge, material things. But what one cannot give to another person is bhakti. Knowledge can be transferred by teaching or by reading a book. Work can be learned by training. Material things can be transferred from person to person. Wealth can be transferred. But bhakti is that which cannot be given to anyone by anybody else. So when it is said, Bhakti-daayai Namah, how is that Bhagavad-Gita will give devotion to anybody? Only in the observation of the life of bhaktas, we get inspired to live in that way. A devotee, a true devotee of the Lord, has only love for the entire creation. It is not a ritual, it is not mantra japa or pilgrimage or various other things we do in the name of bhakti. Devotion is not by doing something. But a devotee may do things to express his devotion. इसमें फर्क है. Love is not an action. Is love an action? But out of love, a person may perform an action. Like giving a flower to the wife or to the lover. Valentine Day. So it is an expression of love. That action is an expression of love. It is not that giving flower is love. Okay? I gave love a flower, therefore I develop love for that. No, it is not that. So rituals, pujas, and all these things are karma only. And karma devoid of devotion to God can give only karma phalam, na bhakti. It cannot give devotion, it can only give the result of that action. Unfortunately, many people think by doing rituals, I go to heaven or get punya, and that gaining punya is devotion. ये नहीं है, ये कर्म फल है बस. And when you get the punya or merits, you may probably go to heaven or other lokas. And Bhagavan Krishna very clearly says, Shri punya martya lokam vishanti. After the punya is over, back to square one. It does not by itself will give rise to any devotion. So Bhagavan says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate mam. Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo matah. So among the various yogis also, those who are doing various self-disciplines, in 6th chapter only he says this, end of 6th chapter, well, he talked about the dhyanam, meditation, as a means to quieten the mind, focus on the higher nature, etc. But at the end of it, he said, Yoginam api sarvesham madgyatenantaratmana Shraddhaya Saddhavan Bhajate Yomam. He, the one who is worshipping me with faith, even among all yogis. Such a person, Same Yukta Tamo Mataha. Such a person alone I consider as the best. Even those yogis who put lot of effort to quieten the mind, if they don't have faith in God, they lose the bus. They miss the bus. It is like you going to the market, buying many vegetables and everything, and come home and don't cook. Would you get the benefit of the entire effort? The entire effort is a waste when you don't finally achieve the final result of it. Right? You have all the comfort of the bed, a cozy bed, memory bed also. It memorizes how you sleep. Everything is there, but you don't sleep. What is the point in having a most cozy bed also, but you don't sleep? So even among the yogis who may be controlling their mind, the senses, and on point at attention, all that thing they do, but then only Shraddhavan Bhajate Mam. This word Shraddha is used by Bhagavan many, many times in different contexts. Shraddhavan Labhate Jnanam also it says. Only a man of faith can gain knowledge. Only a man of faith can gain devotion also. In chapter 2 also, 12 also he says that highest point of devotion is implicit faith. That alone can make a person different from all others. Shraddhaya paraya yuktaha. He, the person who has the highest faith, and faith cannot be given from one person to another. It has to be developed. It has to be cultivated. Why do we have faith in science? Do we have faith in science? Yes or no?
Yes.
It is not suddenly one day you started to have faith in science. You, over a period of time, you realize that what is being declared by the science or being understood or explained by the science is true, a fact. If somebody suddenly comes and says to you, Earth is round, will you believe that? No. Who is saying? If your neighbor is saying, will you believe that? So you believe or have a trust in the words of somebody who has an authority, right? That is the reason why many of the Balvir teachers don't want their children in the class. And the children also don't want their parents to be in the as teachers. तो घर में भी यही बता रहा है, यहाँ पे भी यही बता रहा है. At home also is saying the same thing. Here also is saying the same. So the teachers would say, please don't put my children in the class because they will spoil everybody else. Because if she says all of you should be always peaceful, she's not. That boy will put a cold water on everything. I know what she does. I don't want him in my class. So, whom do you believe or trust? One who is having authority. And so, in the scientific world, if some stray scientist making a statement, nobody would even take it seriously. How many books you have written? How many papers you have submitted? How many of them are accepted by the scientific world? What are your discoveries? What is your PhD? What have you researched in? All that matters. Then only what you say is taken seriously. If in the world of science you need authority to make a statement, even if it is true. You have to prove it. In the world of spirituality, only the word or the statements of the truth uttered by a devotee alone is considered as correct. And that alone one will have Shraddha. Not a scholar, not a professor in a college. Once it so happened, I was in our PRC ashram, and a professor from Humboldt University, he brought some students. I don't know whether you were there. You were there? No. He brought some students, some 20, 25 of them, boys and girls, who are all studying philosophy under him. And they wanted to spend 2 to 3 days in the ashram and live like a hermit. So, okay, he said, okay, come over. I was there at the time. And they all came, and I was to give 2, 3 lectures a day on some of the topics of Hinduism. So I said to the professor, these topics, you don't know? You have read Hinduism very well. He's a very good professor of Eastern philosophy. He said, you have read. And he said, yes, I read and I know. I've been teaching them, but that doesn't get into them. They have to listen from people like you who practice it. Because as a professor, I can speak, but they know that I'm coming from the book. But when they live in an ashram, they live in that atmosphere, and then live from a person who is having religious background, who is practicing. From that person, when it comes, that ability to absorb is more. So, किससे श्रद्धा होता है और किसमें श्रद्धा होता है? Shraddha we get from whom, or on whose words we will have Shraddha? Only from the person who speaks out of his or her own experience. That is the reason why devotion also cannot be transferred, but observed and emulated. That's why the statement is, wisdom is never taught, it is only caught. Wisdom is not taught. Knowledge can be taught. Wisdom is not taught. Wisdom is caught. So, Bhakti-daayai Namah. जो भक्ति देता है, वो Bhagavad-Gita है. How? Because who's talking there? Bhagavan himself. And to me, whom is he talking? To a devotee. So the conversation between Ishwaraha and Tasya Bhakta. The conversation between Nara and Narayan. Conversation between a devotee and the Lord. That is why at the end of this 18th chapter, Sanjay is so grateful to listen to those conversations. And he says, I am the most blessed to listen to this conversation because Nara Narayana Samvad ho gaya yahan pe. Huh? Krishna Arjuna Samvad is a soul talking to the Lord, or the Lord speaking to the soul. That is the most beautiful conversation. So here, Bhagavan also says, Ye yata mam prapatyante tam tataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmana martante manushya partha sarvasha. The way people worship me, the way I will give them devotion. Ye yata mam prapatyante tan tada eva bhajami aham. Bhajami here means anugrahnami. I will give that anugraha. I will give that grace according to the way they worship. Meaning, if immaturely a person is worshipping the Lord without knowing anything and asking for this and that, only that much only I give. Because that person is not mature enough to understand this. And today morning also I was telling that according to maturity, so will be the teaching. So this boy is asking 4-year-old, 5-year-old boy to the father, Daddy, I see white clouds in the blue sky. What does it mean? But Daddy is very seriously explaining. The land gets heated up by the sun, and the water is also with the land's heat as well as sun's heat, it gets warmed up. And because of the warming of the water, vaporization takes place. And as it goes up in the higher altitude, the atmospherical coldness condenses the water. That boy has slept already. So then that boy, after some time, he goes to the mother. Mom, what is this white cloud in the blue sky? Indra? Yes, his elephants are going there. White elephant. Oh, very nice. Mommy, yes. Daddy doesn't know this. He doesn't know anything. Now, to that child, what can be said if the father seriously explains the scientific theory behind it? Will not get it. I mean, and he grows up to become a teenager, probably he will understand what he said. Similarly, yo yada mam prapatyante, the way a person worships, accordingly I give. What is an anugrahanam, or what is this anugraha? Anugraha is according to what you want. So if a person goes with the love for the Lord and surrender to the Lord and says, I want you and no nothing else, then Bhagavan say, I will give you devotion there. Mama vartma anuvartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. Everyone is walking the same way I direct them. So, Shraddhaya Bhakti. Devotion is according to the faith of the person. If the faith of the person is on the wealth, Bhagavan will not give him devotion. कहीं भी जाओ, बालाजी में जाओ, तिरुपति जाओ, भुक्ति देता है, मतलब भक्ति नहीं देता. क्यों? Because why do you go there? I go there to put the money in the hundi so that I get more money in my hundi. If that is the case, okay, वो चाहते हैं, I'll give you that only. The devotion will not get. On the other hand, a person may be very much at home, not going anywhere else. But with all devotion, all love, he worships the Lord in his own home, in the altar. He will get more devotion than anywhere else he goes. Why do we need to go to the places of pilgrimage, for example? Because there Mahatmas have worshipped. And with that understanding, we should go there. How the Mahatma has looked at this particular Lord and gained so much of devotion to him, or that with that reverence, when we do it, with the same amount of reverence, then one will feel how that devotion was developed by the Mahatma by looking at or praising or worshipping this deity. Or Puranically, various stories associated with that particular kshetra. Sthala Mahima, it's called. That very thing develops devotion to us. Some places in India where it is said Pandavas have created that particular deity. We went recently to Kerala. There, some of the temples are created by Pandavas themselves. So think about it. Those who have been living with the Bhagavan, they created out of love for him. How precious and how powerful they are. So, Bhakti-daayai Namah. So, Bhagavan gives that devotion to the people, and Bhagavad-Gita explain to us, Bhakti श्रद्धा से ही हो सकता है, पढ़ने से नहीं. By listening to lectures or by reading a book by itself, it does not. It requires the individual to observe a devotee, watch how he or she lives. Even in a remote place like Shabari was living, you know what a devotion she had. Who taught her? What did she learn? किससे? उपनिषद नहीं पढ़ा, Bhagavad Gita नहीं पढ़ा. Bhagavad Gita of course was not there. She was not taught anything. Her absolute devotion to the Guru and the words of her Guru. That's all. And she observed him. She served him for a long time. And finally, when he was leaving, he said, just to take the name of the Lord and that will do. Which Shraddha se aap le lo. Bhagavan aayega. It will come to your doorstep. Bhagavan came for that. Prahalad, what did he study? He didn't study anything. Naradji gave him that knowledge, saying that japte raho, he will come. So, Bhakti-daayai Namaha, meaning Srimad Bhagavad-Gita gives us this devotion by showing the faith alone is the means to gain devotion, not anything else. Now, next one is Bhakti-vivardhinyai Namaha. Once you have the small spark of love for God, it can burn the entire forest of samsara. One small spark is sufficient. That's what the arsenic people do, no? One thing put, that's all. And then gayab. Acres and acres and thousands of acres are burned. How? You don't need anything else. One spark will do. Once the spark of love is created, the Guru's job is over. Afterwards, the fellow will pick it up. So that is why Gurudev used to say that in the Upanishadic time, the student has to go to a teacher with dry wood on his head, carrying on his head the dry wood. And in front of the teacher, he will offer, even when we were, initiated to the Yajnopavita, we are supposed to carry that dry wood in our hand. The dry wood represents Vairagya. In the dry wood alone, the fire can manifest. It will be the bottommost. It is not a phone made a mistake. Don't blame the phone. Why is it doing that? Anyway, so the stick that is there is representing our Vairagya. And why it is so? Because in the stick, the fire is potentially there. In every wooden stick, there is potential fire. Unless it comes in contact with the spark of fire, it will not burn. Once it comes with the contact with the spark of fire, then it will burn the whole thing. In the same way, once the love for the Lord through not only love for the Lord because of the devotion to the Lord, but devotion to the one who is invoking the Shraddha about the Lord in our heart. And that very spark of devotion will lead to 9 steps, as it is said in Bhagavatam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Shakyam, Atmanivedanam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. 9 Navavida Bhakti, it is said. I took some time to think about it today and wrote what are the 9 types of devotion in Bhagavad-Gita. Now you see, first one is Shravana. When a love for the Lord, even as I said, the spark of love takes place for the Lord, such a person will never be satisfied with how much ever glory he listens about the Lord. You know, in our case, when somebody praises us, will you say stop? Shut up, shut up, shut up. I would like to hear more and more about my glory. Isn't it? But if two devotees of a guru meet, and our own Gurudev, when two devotees of the Gurudev meet, when they start exchanging thoughts about, oh, Gurudev did this and he said this way, this kind of a joke he said, this is where. So we never get ever satisfied with that. Say more and more about it because the mind is dwelling in that love for that. So also devotees of a particular form of God, when they start meeting with each other, they never stop listening to the stories and anecdotes and whatnot. In fact, Arjuna says, Bistare Atmana Yogam Vibhujim cha Janardana Bhuya Kataya Triptarhi Shrunmato Nasti Me Amritam. Atmanaha Yogam Bistarena. Oh Lord, give me in detail about your glory. Vibhudim cha, your manifestations. Hey Janardana, please tell me about your glory, your manifestations, etc. Bhuya kataya triptirhi sunvato nasti me mritam. Listening to this, I do not have any more satisfaction because you can go on and on and on. But Bhagavan says, I will not give because there is no end to my manifestation. So I'll give you only short part. Very briefly, I'll talk to you. So, Shravanam, as it is said in Tulsi Ramayana also, who is a real Bhakta? The first thing that he gives is one whose listening is like ocean. One whose listening is like Jisaka Shravana Samudra Samana. Samudra Samana, Shravan. What is the vastness of this ocean? Uska Shravan Samudra Samana. Meaning endless. You can go on listening to it. You'll never get tired. So the first, how to Bhakti-vivardhanam, how we can develop devotion is listening to the glories of the Lord and having the great love for listening to the stories of the Lord. And Bhagavan Krishna also says, I will talk to you. In many places he says, Shruno, listen, listen, listen. Because even in the path of knowledge also, first step is Shravana. Shravanam, Mananam, Tada Nididhyasam. Here it is Shravana of Bhagavan's glory. He says, Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya asamshayam samagram mam yata jnasasi tat shru. Listen, how a person will know me? Mai asaktamanaha partha. When the mind is fully on me, yogam yunjan madashrayah, engaging in all things with me as the support, such a person, asamshayam samagram mam yasyasi. He will know me about me undoubtedly, completely. Asamshayam samagram. Without any doubt, fully. How he knows that? You listen. So even Arjuna was constantly reminded by the Lord, listen to this. This is the first step in growing devotion. So the Bhagavad-Gita gives us the pointers how to develop devotion. But how to start devotion? Shraddha. Once Shraddha is there in the Guru, in the Bhagavan, he points out through his teachings. When the starting point of the Shraddha is there, when the love for the Lord starts to develop, to increase that love, Shravana. If you have Shraddha nahi hai, but you listen, nothing will happen. Ashraddhadhana purusha. A person who does not have Shraddha at all, dharmasyasya parantapa aprapyamam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. If a person who does not have any faith in what I'm saying, he will come back again and again and again. This is like avartana. Avartana means repetition again and again. Mrityu samsara vartmani. Punaravartante. Again and again they'll come. So, also, bhuya eva mahabaho shrunu me paramam vachah. Listen to me, O Arjun. Again, I'm going to tell you, yatteham priyamanaya vakshyami hitakamyaya. I talk to you about myself because I have great regard for you. O Arjun, hitakamyaya priyamanaya. Because you are so dear to me. Therefore, again, bhuya eva mahabaho shrunu me paramam vachah. He never got tired of telling. And Arjuna had no tiredness of listening also. It is like the new mothers. How many pictures they take of that time? Standing on pictures, lying on pictures. Forget about the children, huh? Dog people. The glory, dog glories. Oh, Swamiji, when I do Brahmarpanam, he sits next to me. And without that Brahmarpanam, he won't eat. I will eat, but he won't eat. People talk about their dog glories more than God. Endless. So anyway, what you love, you never stop. Either listening or talking, conversing. Shraddhavan anasuyascha shruniyadabiyo naraha sobi muktaha shubhan lokan prapnoyat punya karmana. Last part in the 18th chapter, at the end of it, he says very clear that I have spoken to you, Arjun, of so many things. And for this entire process, entire thing that I spoke about, various sadhanas, various yogas, various things I spoke to you, right? In the entire 700 verses, I spoke to you so many things. You don't need to do anything else. Shrunuyadabi. Shraddhavan anasuyascha. One who has the faith and one who is not doubting anything, anasuya, not making fun of it, Shraddhavan anasuyascha shrunuyadapi eva naraha. Even when he listens, sa abhi mukta hai. श्रवण से ही मुक्त होता है. मुक्ति श्रवण से ही, बट श्रद्धा से करो. श्रद्धावान अनसूयश्च शृणुयात् अपि वो नरः स अपि मुक्तः स्यात्. He also becomes शुभान लोकान प्राप्य पुण्य कर्मणाम. Because of that very act of listening itself is a punya karma. You don't need to do any ritual for that. Just listen. हम थक जाते हैं ना सेशन में. स्वामी जी, you speak. I am on my own world. Sleeping. You're not listening. Ears are listening. My ears are open, right? Yeah, that's listening. I don't need to be there. Our teenagers are very, very, very fond of listening. Sarvana Mahima, all the time. Plugged. All time plugged in. And if you want to say anything, you have to open it. Hey! I won't tell you who it is. One couple, I took them to a long flight. They were sitting in front of me, the previous two, and husband and wife only. And the whole 2 hours, 3 hours, they never spoke to each other. I asked finally, when we got off the flight, and you both are sitting next to each other, and you never talk to each other. Both of you are listening to what? Enough of listening to him. I was listening to something else. Anyway. Now, second is Kirtanam. Kirtanam is singing the glory of the Lord. See, only when we listen, we know what to glorify the Lord. जो सुनता नहीं है वो कैसा कीर्तन करेगा? Some people do it. Horrible to listen to. संगीत आपको पढ़ना है तो पहले सुनो. You must have a good ear to sing. Otherwise, you sing, nobody can hear it. A person who is singing must know how to listen. Because by hearing only, you will really learn the music. Right? But if you have not heard the glories of the Lord, then what you are singing? मैं कीर्तन करूंगा. Nowadays, the kids, they are learning from the teachers or whatever. But to sing, they always need this. I have no idea why. Why not to put that here? We recently last year, we had this, what's it called? Our marathon camp. Last day, there was a skit. Oh my God. The skit is only 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. None of them have memorized any of the dialogues. Everything was in the iPhone or whatever. So, they were all just coming. So, how are you? And myself and Swarupan was sitting next to me. What's going on? I don't know, you were there. I don't know, who else was there? So, now, how are you? I said, that fellow has to answer. I'm fine. should get angry. I am fine. Yeah, that's what it said. So the whole thing, yeah, I got really frustrated with them. I said, why? There's one dialogue you cannot speak. If a person has got a long dialogue, I can understand. But to say I am fine, you look at the thing. Our memory, I'm telling you, it is so bad. Especially children, if you ask him to sing, where is my phone? First thing. I don't know about Swaranjali. So Kirtanam is possible only when Shravanam is done. Shraddhaya Shravanam. So Bhagavan says, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Yatantascha Dradhavrataha. People who have really learned from by proper listening, the way of dwelling in that what they have learned. In the case of Jnanam, it is Mananam, reflection. In the case of or in the path of devotion, it is Kirtanam. Kirtan se hi wo bhav hota hai. The love for the Lord you invoke in your heart by singing the glories of the Lord. Namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Satatam kirtayantaha man. It is not that you have to sing by song or the externally. Kirtanam here means remembering the Lord's glory, and in your mind you elevate into the heart, elevate your heart in the lightest mood. Right? When you listen to these songs, your hearts become very light. That's why when we are going to take shower also, why? At the same time, you are very light. And all the things are given up. Very light. And this also, all the second, third foundation, everything is. I am with myself, nothing else. I am alone. That's when you sing. Once I so happened, I was with Guruji. So, and we had dinner together. After that, he went to wash his hand in the restroom. So I was standing outside with a towel for him to come out and dry his hand. For a long time, he didn't come. So I was a little worried. I slowly knocked at the door and opened it. And there was the exhaust fan and the sound was going on. So he was standing there. He was tuning himself to that sound. I said, Swamiji, towel. I said, only in that place where nobody is disturbing me, please leave me alone. No? Because when I come out, everybody will gather me. I am here alone with my to sing that. So when you are with the Bhagavan, naturally the bhajan should come. It is not for impressing people around. That kirtanam is satatam kirtayanto mam yadantascha dridhavrataha. So kirtanam is the way of connecting with the Lord in your own heart. This is the second one. The third one is smaranam, remembrance of the Lord. When? He says here, ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yoginah. The one who remembers me, I am easily available. Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nityashaha. Nityashaha means always. Ananya cheta, meaning keeping the mind nowhere else. Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nityashaha. Tasya aham sulabha partha. To him, I am very easily available. Nityayuktasya yogina. See, what we remember is what we bring in as action. Our mind, when it remembers, it somehow creates successive activities. Sunday afternoon, you're sitting, remembrance of masala dosa comes. Obviously, your wife is not going to make it the way you want it. So you immediately, anyway, let me go and you tell your wife, I'm going for a walk. In India, it's very easy. There in the corner of the street, that's the best place. Going for a walk, go for a 2 miles walk, and then 200 calories of masala dosa and come back. What you burnt in 200? In Bangalore, there is a place called Kabban Park, Lal Bagh. Then a lot of people, a lot of people from their home, they go walking. There is one area where some rich, community is there. Next to that is Lal Bagh. They walk in the Lal Bagh, okay, and then go to a very famous joint there. Eat, to eat, and call the driver to come and pick them up. What is that? Because what the thought has come, right? The smaranam. So that's why Bhagavan says, Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarani nityashaha tasya aham sulabha. So smarana brings about immediate action with respect to that. Say, therefore, I am easily available to them because they have done the Shravanam and they have already kept their mind in Kirtanam. And so remembrance of the Lord is not an effort for them at all. For us to remember the Lord, we need some excuse. Either there should be a tragedy, some happening, or something is happening for which we need Bhagavan's blessing. Then only we remember. And nowadays, many people don't even put the picture of the Lord anywhere. They put this, what do you call modern art. उसका पता भी नहीं चलता है कहाँ ऊपर है कहाँ नीचे what is that left or right in the top or but nothing. In one house I went, nothing can be understood. It's all jumbled up. So I asked the person, what does it mean? I asked the same question to the artist. So what did he say? He said, keep looking, something will happen. So I seriously decided, let me sit there and watch. It looks like a yogi sitting. Exactly, Swamiji. That's what I thought. Why don't you put the picture of the Lord? At least through looking at it, you'll remember. Instead of you put your entire, dynasty everywhere, including the dog. वो देखने से आपको वो क्रोध आता है. This fellow, that fellow did this to me. Instead of put Bhagavan picture, at least you get some love. Even at the last moment of your life, you remember me. Andakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. Even at the last minute, you remember me, Lord says. Andakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. Yaprayadi samadbhavam yadi na tyatra samshayah. Such a person will go, even if that is the last minute only he remembers me, he also will come to me only. Atra na samshaya. There is no doubt in this. But the point is, when is the last minute? You don't know. And if you have not remembered the Lord throughout the life, then how do you remember the last minute? If Gandhi could say, hey Ram, at the last minute, when he was shot also, he was remembering him all the time. In our case, when somebody shot us, who did that? We don't remember Ram. We will only find out who's the person who killed me. So, Ram, we could say Ram at the last minute. Antakale api, even at the last minute, Smaran, Taktva Kalevaram, when he leaves this body, Sat Yadi, he also Madbhavam Yati, he'll reach me only. So, Smaranam. Then Pada Sevanam. Pada Sevanam is, see, it is not necessarily that one has to worship the feet of the Lord. Any seva is Pada Sevanam. The entire universe is nothing but Pada of the Lord only. Pado os Vishwa Bhutani. Pada is the entire. In the Purushottam, what do we say? Kripadurto Udait Purushaha. One Pada is here. Bhagavad Pada is this universe. So the universe, Jagad Ishadi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Vruddheva Pujanam. Upanishara says, Ashtamurti Vruddheva Pujanam. Ashtamurti means the eightfold Prakriti which is there, that is worshipping the eightfold Prakriti itself is Deva Pujanam. Jagata Ishadi Yukta, understanding Bhagavan is nothing but the world itself, or the world itself is Bhagavan. Jagati Ishadi. Jagati Ishadi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Vruddheva Pujanam. And that's why Bhagavan again and again brings this point, Loka Seva. Loka Kalyanartham Seva. Mamcha avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. One who is able to serve with devotion in the heart, sagunan samadhitetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Such a person overcoming all the qualities created by Maya. Samadhitan, gunan samadhitan, brahma bhuyaya kalpate. He become ready to obtain the highest. And in specific terms, he said, seva to be done to the teacher, one who teaches the way to the Lord. Tadvitti pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. So pada sevanam is to gain knowledge as well as Jagat is Bhagavan's pada. With that understanding, aap seva karo. It is said that the Bhagavan's feet is where Lakshmi is sitting there. So when you are serving Bhagavan, you are serving Lakshmi also. Gurudev used to make joke of it. You serve me, I will give you Lakshmi. If you serve Lakshmi, I'll come behind you. If you serve me, I will give you Lakshmi. If you serve Lakshmi, I will come after you. As IRS. Archanam. Next one is Archanam. Archanam means to worship, otherwise known as Bhajana. So the word used in Gita is Bhajana. So he says, Sarva Bhutastidam Yomam Bhajat Ekattvamastitaha Sarvada Vartamanobi Sayogi Mai Vartate. A person, Sarva Bhutastitaha Mam. Me, the one who is always in the heart of all living beings. In that way, Bhakti Yoga, so in that one who is sitting in everybody's heart, Sarva Bhuta Stito Yomam Bhajat Ekatvamastitaha. In one way, in singular way, only I am present in everybody's heart. As their own life. Sarvada Varta, such a person, even though he is doing many things, he is always in me only. So, Archana here does not mean go to a temple and then 108 times or 1,000 times. Yes, that, as I said earlier, that doesn't create devotion. It is only out of devotion you do it. Maybe the atmosphere may create in your mind some amount of love for the Lord. But if you have no regard for the Lord, you cannot do anything. It is like you take your teenage boy, or they will stand like a steady tree. Do namaskar to Bhagavan or do namaskar to Guru or teacher or Swamiji, he will never bend. And the parents also very funny. Why not they do and show it there also? Karo! Kya karna hai? He doesn't know what to do. I always said, you do it and then he will see and do it. Sometimes the children may not even know what to do. So, he says that even if you are the most wanted criminal in this world, abhichet suduracharaha bhajate mam ananyabha sadureva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito hisa. If a person does the seva for the Lord, does the bhajan for the Lord, bhajan means seva or in the form of a worship, even if you are the most wanted criminal in this world, such a person turns to become a sadhu. Bhajanat sadhu bhavati. A person who by the worship itself becomes sadhu. Like Kannappa and other people, they have no idea what that is. He becomes an Nayana. He's considered as the Shiva saint. What education? He had no education. But only for the love for the Lord, he was able to ready to give his own eyes also. Bedara Kannappa in Kannada, and I think in Telugu also they have some. Bedara. On the other hand, men of such great knowledge, Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakriti mashritaha. Who are the Mahatmas? The men of great wisdom and saintliness are those people who have Daivi Prakriti, divine qualities, Abhayam, Satta, Samshuddhi, etc. So, Bhajanti Ananya Manasaha Jnatva Bhutatim Avyayam. They worship. Their worship is different. Why? Because they know Aham Bhuta Adi. I am the one who is the very beginning of the whole universe. So, Daivi Prakriti Mashritaha Mahatma, they also continuously worship. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha matta sarvam pravartade iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Men of knowledge also, they know from me alone everything has come. Everything has come from me. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha matta sarvam pravartade. I am the very origin of everything. From me alone, everything is spread out. Idi matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So that is bhajanam. Then vandanam. Vandanam is upasanam. The difference between archanam and vandanam is archanam is a ritualistic worship. Ritualistic worship means in the form of being in the proximity of the Lord and doing a act of worship. Whereas upasana is meditation. Remembering the Lord continuously. What is the definition of upasana? That's the definition. Which is to say, keeping the mind continuously flowing with the thoughts of the Lord for a long time. That is upasana. Upa means near, asana means sitting. is sitting near the Lord, not in the physical sitting, mentally. He can be anywhere, but mind is with the Lord. And Dirgha Kalam, and what? Tailadaravat, like the oil or the ghee flowing from the vessel towards the Shivalinga or the Murti of the Lord, how it is straight, it continuously pours. In the same way, where the mind has no other thought other than Bhagavan only. This is Upasana. Otherwise known as Vandanam here. So, yetu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha anandyeneva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. Keeping that mind nowhere else, no other thought, only thought is about the Lord. Anandyeneva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. That is a true Vandana of the Lord. Vandana is actually welcoming the Lord into your heart. Keeping the mind one-pointedly on the Lord and bringing Him into you, and then thereafter there is nothing else to be thought of. That is Vandanam. Dasyam. Dasyam literally means who's a dasa, who's a servant, who does not have his own agenda. Whatever the boss or the Majaman or the Swami says, that alone is to be done. There is no other personal agenda in this. So Arjun had very clearly said, Arjuna uvacha nashto moha smritir labdha tvat prasadat maya achyuta sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Tava vachanam karishye. आप जो बता रहे हो वही करूंगा. And when did it happen in the case of Arjuna? After listening to the glories of the Lord, seeing the darshan of the Lord, listening to him again and again about his manifestation. Then he says, what? Nashto moha, delusion gone. Smritir labdha, I regained my understanding. Nashto moha smritir labdha, tvat prasadat maya achyuta. By your grace only. Therefore, he says, Sthitosmi gata sandeha. I am now having no doubt in my head. Karishye vachanam tava. A true dasa of the Lord, dasya means being a servant of the Lord. Sravanam, kirtanam, archanam, Sravanam, kirtanam, smaranam, padasevanam, archanam, vandanam, then dasyam. So dasya bhava comes only when he has already brought the Lord into the heart, and from the heart only Bhagavan commands him. Do this. Many of the Mahatmas have said, the Lord is not commanding from outside me, he is commanding from within. He is telling me, prompting me to do this. Then I cannot but fulfill his wish. Karishye vachanam tava. That is dasya bhava. Then, last but one is shakyam, being a friend. To a friend alone you confide. To a friend alone you share your mind. To a friend alone you tell what you will not tell anybody else. You confide with a friend. That's why even children, no, they won't tell the brother or sister or even the parent, but to the friends, they will say. Samavayasana, of the same age, and they can understand. So Bhagavan also said to Arjun, I gave this knowledge long time back at the beginning of the universe, but now again I am giving to you because you are my friend. Saye vayam maya proktaha yoga prokta yoga prokta puratanaha. Sa eva ayam maya proktaha. That which I have spoken earlier itself. Which yoga is that? About this karma yoga which leading to jnana. Sa eva. That alone, bhaktosi me sakacha iti rahasyam edatuttamam. This great secret which I originally spoke to Vivaswan, the sun, Today I'm giving it to you. Why? Because you are my friend. Even though in later in 11th chapter, Arjuna confesses saying that I treated you like, hey, come here. Not knowing your glory. But Bhagavan did not take it as an offensive. He says, as a friend, okay, you can call me any names you want. So, Sakhya Bhava means where such a friendly, warm attitude towards the Lord. Then last one is Atma Nivedanam, surrender. It's known as Sharanam. Bhagavan says, Tameva Sharanam Gacha Sarvabhavena Bharata Tat Prasadat Param Shantim Sthanam Prapsyasi Shashvatam. Surrender to him alone. Tameva Sharanam Gacha Sarvabhavena Bharata. And that surrender will lead to what? Tat Prasadat. By his grace. Shashvatam sthanam prapsyasi. You will obtain the eternal abode. The Sharanagati is the last part. After doing all the 8 other further previous steps. Otherwise, we surrender and we wonder. Whom did I surrender? So, we should not doubt at the time of surrendering. Am I doing the right thing or not? So all that earlier what have been said have concretized or brought the mind to its maturity. And there is no question of. It is said that when Ganges, after flowing from all through thousands of miles from the Himalayas, when it comes to merge in the Bay of Bengal, there is a Gangetic Bengal. You might have seen Sundarban forest. No, it's a very famous one where ocean comes into Ganges and pulls her out. It's very interesting. That place is where the Ganges is coming, but it is the ocean comes and picks her up. So it's a very important part in the geography, and then many people quote that to show how when the bhakta is ready, Bhagavan will come and pull you out. Now don't wait, because you may have hesitation. No, I am here. I will take you for sure, and you don't hesitate anymore. So that's why Bhagavan says, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja ham tva sarva papyebhya mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. After having given up all other dharmas, only thing you need to do is complete surrender to me. That's the last step, Atma Nivedana. Completely offering oneself. Thereafter, the Mahatma does not live for himself. His presence itself is Bhagavat, the presence only, Bhagavan's presence only. So this way, Navada Bhakti is also there. This is Bhakti-vivardhinyai Namah. It makes the devotion to grow more and more in our own heart. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkhabhat bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om.